You need to play this game. It's the most innovative shooter I have played in years, he said, plagiarizing somebody's BioShock review. Yeah, I'll spare you the shtick. I'm sure you're already familiar with it by now, but believe it or not, I do actually feel like I have a pretty unique perspective on today's game, which is super hot, if you haven't already figured that out by now. The game's super hot. I had a pretty interesting experience with this title. Yeah, instead of just playing through it like a normal person, I instead decided to catch COVID and then do basically nothing but play this game for about 3 days straight whilst literally feverishly ill. Going forward, I do think I'll be sticking to the more traditional approach to gaming, but I do have to say, handling things in this way was definitely compelling, and I'm excited to tell you all about it when I give you my official take on Superhot. Booting up the game for the first time, you're presented with an interface very reminiscent of an old MS-DOS computer. Our story is told primarily through guru chat conversations between the player and an unnamed acquaintance, with Superhot itself being presented as a bit of a game inside a game that your character is put onto by this mysterious friend. As you begin to play, though, you start to suspect that this is more than an ordinary game, as the EXE begins speaking to you during gameplay and eventually starts claiming control over everything in your life. If you aren't already familiar, the central conceit of Superhot is killing red guys. As you spawn into each level, your only objective is to shatter all of the enemies without getting yourself off so you can move on to the next stage. The trick, of course, as spelled out in the very first area, is that time only moves when you move. If you're standing still, so is the game. Put into practice, this means that while the game might present itself on the surface as a first-person shooter, a big emphasis is also put onto much more cerebral gameplay bordering on puzzle solving, as you have nearly infinite time to figure out how you want to maneuver the situation. Mechanically, Superhot is remarkably straightforward. You're able to punch, pick up and throw items, and use weapons, all of which are pretty simple and easy to understand. Over the course of the levels, you get the opportunity to use 3 different types of guns. You've got your straightforward pistol, a shotgun that shoots several shells with a wide bloom, and the rapid-fire AR. Every enemy in Superhot shatters with a single bullet, so it's just a matter of figuring out how to best move around the stage and allocate your ammo to take everyone down. Once you run out of shots, your best bet is to simply snatch another weapon from a nearby enemy, which is done with a remarkably satisfying maneuver. You'll also have a couple of melee weapons at your disposal, like the bat, or the almost always overpowered katana. There's a lot to be admired about this game's presentation. While the textures are high quality, Superhot intentionally opts for a very stylized look by utilizing only 3 colors. The environment is white, enemies and anything like enemies are a stark red, and your weapons and other interactable objects are black. Not only does this choice give the game its iconic look, but it makes it incredibly easy to quickly determine what exactly you're working with in almost any situation. The sound design is also pretty solid overall, utilizing a lot of bombastic celebratory sound effects and a very video gamey style to make every action, especially completing a level, feel satisfying. What I don't find particularly satisfying is the way the story plays out over time. Every few stages your progression will be halted by either another brief guru chat conversation or a story-focused level, which, oddly enough, also mostly equates to sitting around waiting for text to appear on screen. There's nothing wrong with the story, it's vaguely interesting, and after reading about it a little more online, I feel like I can appreciate what it tries to do a little bit more. But I never found it to be particularly engaging, and it kind of came off to me as a bit pretentious if I'm being honest. I'm pretty quick to get annoyed by too much story interrupting my precious gameplay, and I just didn't find the story of Superhot to be notable enough to overcome that. It's understandable that I'm always eager to get back to the gameplay though, because it's a lot of fun. All of the levels are really well designed in my opinion, and manage to keep things feeling fresh by frequently implementing new set pieces or trickle feeding in the various weapons that I spoke about earlier. Additionally, a new mechanic is introduced a little over halfway through that shakes up the way you play by allowing you to take over the bodies of enemy combatants. It's a powerful insta-kill attack and a great way to cover long distances, but it needs time to recharge and leaves you weaponless, so if you aren't careful, you can easily get yourself into a pretty sticky situation. The difficulty curve is very nice, with levels getting gradually more difficult at an almost unnoticeable rate as the player gets more comfortable. You'll also be very pleased to hear that respawning is almost immediate upon death, which is always an easy win with me. There are only 36 levels in Superhot, and none of them take a very long time to beat. Depending on how good you are at games, I'd say you're looking at anywhere from 3 to a maximum of 5 hours to see the end credits. If this is how you plan on experiencing this game, I definitely feel like it's worth your time. Myself though, I am a die-hard completionist, so you know finishing the main story was just the very first step on my journey to 100%. In order to obtain the coveted Steam ribbon, by far the biggest obstacle for any would-be achievement hunter is the Hercules achievement, awarded for finishing every challenge in Superhot's challenge mode. So what exactly is challenge mode? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. You play through the game and attempt to complete levels with a particular challenge rule set.
This sounds like it could be a pretty interesting idea, but unfortunately, if you ask me, Superhot's challenge mode is, to borrow a term from Study V2, a class in tedium. There are a total of 13 challenges to complete, all but 2 of which take you through all 25 non-story levels of the main campaign. Let's just whip out the calculator here, do some fast math. That's 317 challenge stages you need to complete just for the Hercules achievement. There's nothing inherently wrong with any of the individual challenge sets, but most of them felt pretty uninspired to me, juggling around the same 4 modifiers like one punch kills or hot switch where you wouldn't normally have it, without ever really doing anything truly interesting with them. There's also no quality control to ensure that rule sets mesh well with any given stage, so there's not really any coherent difficulty curve to speak of, and a lot of the time, half of the levels in a challenge just feel pointless. The lack of polish in these areas make it feel like you're constantly retreading territory, which is just fatiguing. To be clear, I didn't have a terrible time. A couple of the earlier challenges change up the look of the game, which I really appreciate, and the speedrun challenges were a lot of fun. A title like this with such a heavy emphasis on time is a no-brainer for speedrunning, and the fact that they have 2 different challenges timed different ways made at least this part of the experience feel fully fleshed out. But you will spend the vast majority of your playthrough working your way through challenge mode, and that's before you even get to the second to last challenge in the game, No Restart. No Restart is conceptually extremely simple. There are no modifiers, no special changes, you just play through the standard 25 levels like you would in the campaign. The catch is, if you die at any point, you have to start all over from the beginning. Now, this is not a particularly difficult game. Especially by this point, you've played variations of these stages countless times, conquered 2 hard modes. In theory, this should be easy. It is not. With so many repetitions, you've conditioned yourself to rush through these stages as quickly as possible, and you can probably do so successfully 9 out of 10 times. But there are 25 levels in this challenge, and it's that one death out of 10 that sends you back to the beginning, over and over and over and over. The more you play, the more unbearably sick and tired you get of the first 2/3 of the game. You try to power through quickly, being successful the vast majority of the time, until you get unlucky, rinse, and repeat. Now, as I alluded to earlier, I'm probably not your best case study for your essay here. I did all of this whilst horribly sick, so I likely wasn't playing at my best, but I spent more time completing the No Restart challenge on its own than I spent on the entire rest of the game, including all of the other challenges, by a factor of 2. I did not have a particularly good time with this section. And then I got to move on to Endless Mode, and I just... Okay, so Endless Mode is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. You're plopped down into a large area and tasked with killing as many red guys as you can for a high score. And Endless Mode definitely seems like the kind of thing that would work well with this game, and I was extremely pleasantly surprised to learn that they actually designed some new stages for this mode. I was going to pull my hair out if I had to play those same 25 levels one more time. The problem here is, Superhot doesn't really have any mechanism to get you to engage with its Endless Mode. All of the achievements that you unlock in Endless only track cumulative kills. You can die as frequently as you want, so there's no incentive not to. The way this mode is set up, the best strategy is to optimize for kills per minute, rather than optimize for kills per death, the way I assume you're meant to play. To be clear, at this point in my journey, I wasn't necessarily really looking to engage with something new, but as things stand, Endless Mode is just another time sink. Mildly amusing, yes. More enjoyable than No Restart, by a significant margin, but that's about the height of the praises I can offer, which is pretty underwhelming. Outside of the main 3 modes, there are a handful of miscellaneous achievements that you won't be able to collect through the course of regular play. The most notable of these is definitely Charted, which involves playing through the main campaign, again, in search of secret computer terminals hidden in the levels. These were actually shockingly fun to hunt down. After spending so much time in these stages, I was genuinely surprised to discover some of these hidden areas, and it was honestly the only achievement that felt like a real change of pace, which was much appreciated. From there, after sitting on the screen for 15 minutes and changing the date on my PC to wall up some pumpkins, I was pretty much done, collecting the coveted Steam ribbon, having spent about 85% of my playtime completing recycled busy work, and more than 2/3 of my playtime just on the No Restart challenge. I'm worried that this video will come off as overly negative, and that's not really my intention. The main campaign of Superhot is remarkably solid, and an easy recommendation for non-completionists. There are thousands of people out there covering the main campaigns of games though. I'm here to talk about the 100% completion experience, and in my opinion, it just isn't a very good return on investment time-wise. I definitely don't regret completing this game, and I think the main campaign is an amazing time that anybody would enjoy and should definitely check out. But if you're the all or nothing type, consider this one carefully. Superhot is available on pretty much every platform, so if you're interested, give it a shot. While it might not be my all-time favorite, it's still a title I'm glad to be able to put on my list of 100% completed games.
And just like that, another video comes to a close. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, man, just do all the stuff. I mean, drop a like, get subscribed, ring the bell, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. I'd really appreciate that. Pop by the description, check out my social media, that'd be cool. That's also where you can find any of the music that I used in this video. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, thanks for watching.